Did the Trailblazers fail Damian Lillard? Damian Lillard, arguably the best player in Blazers history, has never received the support he deserves from the front office. He saw other teams acquiring star players while the Blazers failed to do the same. He saw constant shifting of teammates and coaches while he remained with no help. As a result, Lillard requested a trade after 11 seasons with the team and is currently waiting for the move to happen.
My advice to Dame is get out, and get out fast.
Intervention time. It's not working.
I would like to see Dame go somewhere with another superstar.
He's done everything he could do for that franchise. He's so great. Fans in Portland, let the man go.
The Trailblazers surprised the NBA in 2012 by selecting Damian Lillard at 6th overall from the little-known Weber State. As a 22-year-old rookie, Lillard impressed everyone, averaging 19 points and 6 assists per game, while winning Rookie of the Year. In the following year, Damian Lillard took another leap forward, earning an All-Star spot. The Portland Trailblazers excelled on offense, ranking 2nd in the NBA thanks to their remarkable ball movement and three-point shooting, which saw them 4th in three-pointers made and 5th in turnovers. The team's starting five, composed of Lillard, Wesley Matthews, Nick Batum, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Robin Lopez, remained healthy throughout the season, and their chemistry was evident as they rarely changed their starting lineup. This season, Lillard got the most help he's ever seen, with Aldridge having a standout season, averaging 23.2 points and 11.1 rebounds per game, while securing All-Star and All-NBA honors. Batum showcased his versatility, becoming only the second player in NBA history to achieve 600-plus rebounds, 400-plus assists, and 145-plus three-pointers in season. Wesley Matthews excelled as a valuable 3-and-D player, while Robin Lopez set a Trailblazers single-season record for offensive rebounds and ranked 7th in the NBA for blocks. With a 54-28 record, this season marked the best record of the Damian Lillard era, and the team pulled off a thrilling upset against the Rockets in the first round.
He got the shot off! And the Blazers win the series for the first time in 14 years!
The Blazers eventually lost to the NBA champion Spurs in the second round, but the future was bright for them. The next year, they came in with high hopes and looked to be even better to start, but Wesley Matthews tore his ACL and the team was mediocre to finish the season. They eventually lost in the first round to the Grizzlies. Then, in free agency, LaMarcus Aldridge, Robin Lopez, and Wesley Matthews signed with other teams, and Nick Batum was traded. In the 2015-16 season, the Trailblazers faced uncertainties, but Damian Lillard stepped up his game. With less talent around him, Lillard took on the challenge and created open looks by shooting three-pointers from well beyond the line, similar to Steph Curry. Both Lillard and Curry made history by attempting over 370 threes from 25 feet or deeper, with Lillard converting at an impressive rate of 39%. This changed how defenses guarded him. Additionally, CJ McCollum made a significant leap from being a bench player averaging 6.8 points to a starter, putting up 20.8 points per game with a 42% three-point shooting. Lillard and CJ formed a formidable duo, but the team lacked a depth and struggled defensively, resulting in one of the worst defenses in the NBA. Despite their efforts, the Blazers were eliminated in the second round by the dominant 73-9 Warriors. Then, in the offseason, they were loaded with money and ready to replenish their team through free agency. Instead of pursuing one of the top guys like Kevin Durant, Al Horford, Bradley Beal, and DeMar DeRozan, they decided to steeply overpay for role players. They signed Evan Turner to a 4-year deal worth $70 million, Myers Leonard to a 4-year deal worth $41 million, Festus Ezeli for 2 years, $15 million, and Alan Crabb for 4 years, $75 million. These moves trapped them in mediocrity, and the next season, they declined until they were exactly in the middle of the pack, at 41-41. They got killed by the Warriors in the playoffs, and despite Lillard's amazing efforts, the future looked doomed. The next year was more of the same, with Lillard and McCollum often going off, but nobody else helping score. The Blazers, as a result, lost to the Pelicans in the first round. Then things finally turned around in the 2018-19 season. Jusuf Nurkic took a leap and became the team's third best player. In one game this season, Nurkic had 24 points, 23 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 blocks, and 5 steals. He's the only player ever to have this stat line. He also ranked as number 1 in the entire NBA in Defensive Raptor. Then they brought in some quality role players for the first time in years. Seth Curry shot 45% from 3, and Rodney Hood became the perfect 3-and-D wing for them. With help from the role players, the Trailblazers went 53-29 and made it to the Western Conference Finals.
Lillard, long range three, and it's good! At the buzzer! Damian Lillard! Are you kidding me?
Their season came to an end when they got swept by Kevin Durant and the Warriors. But this season was by no means a failure, although later on, free agency came to hurt them again as they lost Rodney Hood and Seth Curry. Unfortunately, all they brought in to replace them was Hassan Whiteside. During the year, they signed Carmelo Anthony and traded for Trevor Ariza, and both were okay role players. But when the NBA was suspended for the pandemic, the Trailblazers had the 3rd worst defense in the NBA and were 29-37. The NBA came back in the bubble and Lillard dominated, winning bubble MVP. But the Trailblazers' defense was way too bad to compete with the 3 defensive liabilities in Lillard, McCollum, and Melo, and as a result, they lost in the first round. In the 2020-21 season, they traded for Robert Covington and Norman Powell. Both players were good role players, but when the playoffs rolled around, Lillard had no help. During this playoffs, he averaged 34 points per game, 10 assists per game, and shot 45% from 3. In Game 5 versus the Nuggets, he dropped 55 points, but the rest of the team could not guard anyone, and they lost in double overtime. After this year, Lillard trade rumors ramped up, but they decided to run it back at least one more time. After Lillard suffered a season-ending abdominal injury, they traded CJ McCollum, Robert Covington, and Norman Powell. It looked like Lillard was next, and they were in full tank mode, but they traded up multiple draft picks for Jeremy Grant. This past season, they were horrible outside of Lillard, and went 33-49. Everyone thought Lillard would request a trade, but he remained loyal, and the Blazers earned the 3rd overall pick in the draft, which would end up being Scoot Henderson. Now loaded on young assets and with some available cap room, they had a prime opportunity to make moves to bring Lillard a real secondary star. But the Blazers decided to keep the pick and sign Jeremy Grant to a massive 5-year, $160 million contract. It was apparent the Blazers were not going to make any significant moves to improve the team around Lillard. To no surprise, after all this went down, Lillard requested a trade and is currently waiting to be dealt. Over the Damian Lillard era, the Blazers were rumored to trade for Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant, Paul George, and more. Although, every time, they either didn't have enough assets or were too afraid to commit to a big trade. Throughout this time, many stars teamed up and formed super teams, but the Blazers used their cap space and assets on mediocre role players. Instead of finding fits for Lillard, the Blazers gave up and just let the team be average. Lillard deserved better, and with a more involved front office, he could have had far more success. Now looking back, the Blazers failed Damian Lillard, and with him on the move, the Damian Lillard era will close with no championships to show for it. If this video hasn't convinced you yet, watch this clip.
And he just subscribed.